Hi Leos, this is Leah with Half Moon Tarot. I will be doing your December 2022 reading. I've already meditated over the cards and asked that Spirit bring whatever is necessary for you to know, for you to hear, expect, and be prepared for, okay? So in the meditation, the Eight of Coins comes out, followed by the King of Cups, followed by the Strength card, okay? So in the meditation, it's really cut, it's really clear, okay? Some of my Leos are working on something big, okay? Whether this be in partnership or just singled project, okay? You have a plan, there's something in place, and you feel like it's gonna be extremely big, okay? And the plan might be simple, but what lies underneath is going to be it could possibly be life changing. It could be something that requires you to be in reflection of yourself, of your character. That's where the King of Cups comes in. Reflection of character. And there are going to be a lot of emotions that come up. There's going to be a lot of childhood stuff that comes up. There's going to be a lot of relationship things that come up. So if you're going into a partnership, Leo, with someone, you got this plan in place, you know that it's going to be a thing, just make sure that you both are being transparent during this time, okay? I think that you're going to learn a lot about your partnership, especially with the way that you work with people, because we have a perception of how we are with people until we actually work with people, and then we're like, oh, I don't like working with people, right? I like to control everything. I like to be in control of everything. I like to make sure that everything is in its place so that when it launches, we're going to do everything in its power for it to be successful, right? You may find that you like working with certain people, right? Because I believe that this partnership that you have going on, it could be with family, it could be with best friends, but you realize how much they reflect the things that you try to repress. Okay, so it's very important that we become transparent in this time, especially for the success of the business. And where the Strength card comes in, the more transparent you are, especially about your emotions, especially about the things that you feel. Don't be quiet about anything if it strikes you as odd. Don't be quiet about anything if it strikes you in a place where it is offensive, okay, for you. Be vocal about that. Pour your emotions out, right? Really speak from the heart for the success of this business, for the success of this project, this venture, whatever it is, this plan, okay? And this could really be anything. It is something that in the end is going to bring multitude and abundance. So whatever those things mean for you, okay? This could even be starting a family. Make sure that who you're starting a family with is going to be equally yoked with you. Make sure that who you're starting a family with is going to not only are you going to be transparent, but they're going to be transparent with you when it comes to emotions, when it comes to how they feel and how you feel. The Strength card, getting back to that, comes in and it's going to make this partnership stronger. It is going to bond you together. Okay, this project of whatever it is has the ability to be extremely successful, but we have to make sure that our emotions don't get in the way, that we don't repress our voice in the process, that we don't repress ourselves in the process trying to fit in what we think is going to be more successful for the business, because at this point business needs to be authentic because it is personal, right? So it needs to be authentic to you. It needs to be authentic if you're in a partnership to you and them. And the way that you all keep in that authenticity is by being transparent with each other. Okay, it only makes the business or the project or the venture stronger, and it makes the partnership bonded. It really brings you all in a different space. Okay, a closer, more authentic, genuine space. Okay, safe space, if you will. All right. All right, Leo, let's see what you have for December 2022. Okay. All right. So the card that comes up, the first card that comes up is going to be the Eight of Wands, followed by the Knight of Coins, followed by the Ace of Cups. Now, this is something that I got to wrap my mind around, but the initial thought that comes out is like, oh, we're going deeper into that partnership. Oh, we're going deeper into that venture. Oh, we're going deeper into the Leo psyche when it comes to those things. Okay. All right. So the Eight of Wands comes out and it talks about there has to be compromise. Okay. If something is heavy on you, again, going back into transparency, you have to speak it out. Now, in the midst of speaking it out, in the midst of being transparent, you can't have the expectation of someone to concede with your emotions, for someone to concede with your transparency. You have to be able to speak it out and receive what comes back. Okay, just the way that when you speak it out, they have to receive what you're saying and then respond, right? And in the midst of that, it might feel like an attack, and it's not. It's not, right? I think I'm gonna hold that because I'm gonna see if some swords come up, right? Because there has to be some communication in this space. Okay. But for my Leos, the first thing that comes out is compromise, and being able to, when someone receives and they return, right? When someone receives and then they give back, you have to take your perception out of it. Okay. And I think that is where sometimes we get the word compromise and we get the concept of giving and receiving incorrectly, right? Because if we're compromising, we're not compromising ourselves, we're compromising something from the perception of someone else. Okay. So I compromise this because it's really, I've spoken my piece on it. I am at peace with what I said about it, but I know how this affects the partnership. I know how this will affect the business. I know how this will affect the project or the venture or whatever we're doing. But I know I've spoken my piece on it, and I'm okay to let that thing go. I'm not compromising myself in the midst of it, right? But I know from a different perspective, this is super important to this partnership. It is super important to this business. And if that's the case, then let it do what it do. Okay. Again, the Knight of Coins comes in, and the Knight of Coins is very similar to the King of Cups in the fact that what we see on the outside is not what's happening on the inside. Okay, so make sure that your business is your business. The King of Cups says what's on the inside is seen between us, and then the Knight of Coins says, hey, but what's between us is between us. Okay, don't let the outside infiltrate the inside. The Knight of Coins comes in, and I say this because the Knight of Coins comes in and there's no coins on it. You don't know what the Knight of Coins is if the Knight of Coins didn't have the words on it. You just be like, I don't know what this is, right? So if ideas keep coming up, I have these ideas, I have these things that I want to implement, I have all of these things that I want to put in place, and if they are not received well from a different perspective, then I have to let those things go, right? Because ideas are things, they are not me. So some of those ideas you're going to have to compromise, right? But I believe if you are vocal about those things and being like, oh yeah, I see where you're coming from, something, a greater idea will come out of that. Because again, there's a partnership, there's that strength, there's that bond, right? So if there are things coming up in the partnership that you'd be great for, that you know would be great for this venture, then there has to be an equal yes between you two. Okay? And if it's not an equal yes between you two, be transparent, be vocal about it so that the partner can come in and put in their 2 cents and blow that idea up. Okay? It is going to be greater than the idea that you originally had. It is going to be greater than the things that you put into it, right? Because a partnership is just that. We're both putting things into the pot. We're both cooking up this one thing that is going to be super successful. But if we both can't contribute, then what are we doing? Okay? And the Ace of Cups comes in and is just like the Strength card, but it takes it to a whole nother level. The Strength card comes in and says there's a bond. The Ace of Cups comes in and says why there's a bond. Because we are in alignment, because we are equally yoked, because we are on this emotional horizon together, right? We may be in the same building, but we don't have the same views, and that's okay because we built the building off of not having the same views. Okay? But we understand, we communicate, we know each other inside and out. So Leo, when it comes to it, it's like the Knight of Coins is really important. It talks about contribution and ideas. And when it comes to this partnership, Leo, if the other person is not contributing or you're not allowing them to contribute, you're just doing things off the sake of this is a great idea, then you're not allowing another perspective that you said, yes, you can have a perspective in this project. Yes, we will come together in this venture. If you're now not allowing that to happen, then it's not going to be as great as it could be. Okay? So there will be some compromise in that. But again, that compromise is for things, not compromising yourself. And that, again, is just going to make that bond just a little bit more tighter, just a little bit more harder to break. The Eight of Coins came back out, followed by the Page of Wands, okay? So I think that the meditation was a midline, okay? So it says, this is where you could be, right? But this is where we're starting out. Even though the Eight of Cups indicates a plan, it indicates work being put in, we can't put any work in if we don't have anything, we don't have the ideas to put the work into, right? So you all may be coming into a partnership with someone where we're now putting in ideas of what this venture could be. We're putting in ideas of how big it could be, right? And in that, Leo, I can't stress to you enough, like, partnership is important. Okay? It is important. It is not one person with someone on its shoulders and they're carrying them. That's not a partnership. A partnership is they're walking side by side carrying this idea, right? But we can't be side by side if we're both not contributing. And when we do put in our contributions, they must bond. They have to be cohesive in some type of way. And the 8 of coins being in between the compromise and ideas card, when we bring ideas, we must compromise in order for a plan to happen. In order for this partnership to happen, we have to bring ideas and we have to compromise. That's the only way for a successful plan to come into place. Now, the Page of Wands kind of confuses me a little bit. Okay, it confuses me a little bit because the energy there is very androgynous, right? It's not feminine, it's not masculine. And I believe that that is for the Leos to come in and let go of the ego. Okay, from both sides, right? But this is your reading, okay? So coming into this, we have to let our egos go. We have to let that I'm right go, or this is what I do everything. We have to let it go. And let me tell you a little bit about the ego. It is necessary for some things, right? Especially when we are in a space of fear or we're scared. And when we go on these ventures, these huge projects, these huge partnerships, these huge relationships for us, our ego sometimes comes out because it wants to protect the id, right? It wants to protect the small in us. And when you're in partnership, you shouldn't need to be protected because we're here. We're supporting of each other. The ids are supporting each other. So there shouldn't be any necessary ego involved, right? So I believe that's what the Page of Wands is saying. It comes in, it's not male or feminine. It's not something that is masculine or feminine. And it is not something that is doing, and it is not something that's being passive and sitting back and allowing things to happen. It's just in this neutral space. It is very confident and it knows that anything can happen, right? It is confident, it is in action and observance at the same time, right? So it almost seems like there are these gears that happen, right? We've all seen like the gears that go inside of each other, like inside of a clock, right? One is not doing any more work than the other. And when it comes to partnership, that's how you all have to be. One cannot be doing any more work than the other, and one cannot be doing any less work than the other, because when they work together, they put out the same energy. Okay, so if you find that one is working a little bit more than the other in the partnership, one is doing a little bit more less in the partnership, then we have to restructure and we have to be transparent and we have to be vocal in those spaces, right? Because like I said, this could be a very successful thing. And also know that you can walk away at any time, right? Maybe the partnership isn't that with the right person. Maybe you got to find somebody else. Come together and become this working gear, okay? Last card that comes out is the Strength card again, okay? I think that, Leo, it is going to be a strong month, especially like I said, if you're linking up with somebody. This is going to be a strong month to start to see how this partnership could play out, right? So this is, if it was relationships, right? Now, y'all know I don't usually do relationship readings, but if this was a relationship and you're dating somebody, this is the time to start being vocal on what your expectations are and what their expectations are. And I think where the eight of wands comes in, and it's going to be hard to compromise on some things, and it's going to be hard to walk away from some partnerships or some relationships because they seem like the perfect person. But if they're vocal and transparent, and so are you, we can get down to the nitty gritty of, is this relationship really going to work? And I think that in this month, you guys are getting down into the nitty gritty of, is this relationship going to work? Bring your ideas, bring your expectations of the relationship, bring in what you see, where you see this going, bring in the plan, like what do you want out of a relationship? Okay, not just this one, but what do you want out of a relationship? And maybe even the Eight of Wands is looking like, dang, I don't really know, but I got some ideas, right? I got an idea of what I want out of a relationship, but to be honest, I really don't know. All I have is an imagination, okay? Because maybe it's something that you've never experienced, which is why we have to pause the ego, because we could be in fear of losing the relationship. But if we're transparent in the beginning, then we know that this relationship is or is not for us. Okay, so I see, and that will make you stronger in the end. That will strengthen those ideas. That will strengthen those expectations of what is negotiable and non-negotiable in a relationship. Okay, so when it comes to love relationships, Leo, that's how I see that. Now, if you're in partnership in business, same exact thing. If you're coming in, you have to come in and say, is this going to be a good business partnership? Where do you see this going? Because this is where I see this going, and I'm going to be very transparent with you when it comes to my emotions, when it comes to the way I work, when it comes to these ideas, when it comes to the steps that I want to take involved in business, and make sure that you're receiving what that partner is saying so that you can determine, and you both can determine, if this is going to be a good fit or not. Don't just jump into something because it sounds good and you haven't taken the necessary steps to really get to know that person in business, right? They can be an excellent friend. They can be an excellent mentor. And then you find out that they are behind in their bills. They don't pay bills on time. Half the stuff is getting cut off. They got loans out that they're not paying for, or they have loans out to pay for simple things. And you're like, oh, you're not good financially, right? Is this going to be a good partnership? Is this something that we can work around? And if not, it's okay to let that thing go. And I love, now that I'm looking at it, I love that the Eight of Wands came out in the beginning, because it's like, it's okay to let things go if it doesn't fit. And this is how you find out if it fits. Okay? All right, Leos, I went completely too long, but this has been your December 2022 reading. If this resonates with you, drop down in the comments. Let's have a talk about it. And I'll see y'all next month. Bye.